Hello and welcome to another episode of Choosing Well. Today, we're going to be having a reflective conversation on choosing well in the how we communicate, shaping meaning with integrity, and using our voice in a way that reflects truth, not just attention. With me, we have a special guest, and you guys know all my guests are always special. With me, we have Iwuese Ahua. Iwese, thank you so much for coming to join us. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm really good. It's truly an honor to be here.
We're so happy to have you. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. You know my name already. Iwuese Ahua. I am first of a child of God. And in being his child, he has given me the privilege of being a storyteller. And in that format, like it's across different formats from writing to the recently discovered one, which is videos and scripting and all of that. And another thing which he did for me or I found at certain time is that I am a fiber artist. So yeah.
Tell us more because none of us that know what an artist
Okay, so fiber art is basically using textile or cotton or cord or whatever it is to just create different works of art.
is.
So it could be home furniture, it could be decor pieces, or even like just lampstands and all of that. Yeah, so for me, my medium for fiber art is macrame and weaving. So yeah, those are two things that when I'm not yapping away telling stories, I'm doing that on the back end. Yeah.
Yeah. The more I do the Choosing Well series and the more I engage with so many things, I'm starting to see how important storytelling is. It shapes our narrative, it shapes the way we see the world, it shapes a lot of things.
Yeah.
And with the rise of, social media and there's so many more people are getting access to being storytellers. And so that means lots of people are shaping narratives. When you think about storytelling, what responsibility do you believe comes with shaping how people are seen or understood?
Okay, so for me, I would answer this as storytelling is a form of stewardship, right? The way we frame how people are seen, how we either restore dignity or in our world of today, reduce them to just content.
Mm,
Right. So for me, it's a balance between trying to figure out, as a child of God, how am I stewarding the stories of the people around me? How am I making people see that they're image bearers first, as opposed to avenues to just get content or create money, right?
mm,
So I'm constantly trying to honor them in ways that put them in that truthful human light, right? So I just believe that people are more than things to make fun of or just put in the spotlight for people to tear down. In this age of like consumption, I believe that storytelling should be about having people be more seen as who they
mm.
are or even who God has made them be than just something to scroll past and just feed dopamine in our brains. Yeah.
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 Absolutely. Now, so for someone that's sort of starting out and is a believer, or maybe it's just someone that wants to uphold good values, how has your relationship with your own voice changed over time? I can imagine that obviously as you mature in the industry, there's certain aspects that you grow into, but how do we pass that learning on to someone that's, sort of starting out?
Hmm. So I'm going to use myself as an example. When I was starting out, it was scary. It was hard because I didn't know how the world was going to perceive the things that I was writing because my core skill at the beginning of my storytelling career was writing. I just wanted to feel like polished in a way that people would understand or it would be profound. So even when God will say, talk about a certain thing, I'll be like, what am I going to do if people don't like it? Right.
Mm,
And over time, I had to understand like building a voice is about alignment,
mm,
being true to who you are and what God is actually calling you to do. You're not you're not just doing this because you have to please people. You're doing this because it's a calling. And I guess I'm speaking mostly to people with faith at the center of what they do, not just for storytelling, like in general, right? How can I be less performative? How can I avoid always trying to sound impressive?
Mm.
So many lives are tied to instructions that God gives us. He says, okay, write about grief or write about peace. And you're like, yeah, what I wrote, it doesn't, it's like it's not polished enough. Meanwhile, there's a person that needs to hear that specific thing at that specific time.
In
So,
all its rawness too.
yes. So for me, it's just having to understand that saying say the truth and say it clearly. Again, even though it's a maybe talent, that's what it is naturally, right? You can still steward it and you build muscle and rigor over time by doing and doing and doing. And I guess the faith part of it just helps you become more honest and less performative when you know that you're doing this in honor to God and not as a way to put yourself self on the pedestal for other people. Yeah. So I guess
Yeah.
that's it. And at the beginning of my career, when I used to write, I didn't used to write in my name. I had like a pseudonym because I was shy and I was like, oh, if this is bad, they won't say it's Iwuese. They'll say it's LIA that did it. And Iwuese. I was like, girl, you have to arrange yourself. Like, this is not for you. This is unto God. So his
Yeah.
integrity, everything is unto him. So just do what he asks you to do, and he will help you steward it even more.
Yeah. So I guess it's one of those things where you just have to sort of walk through the process. There's no like magical one that you're like, oops, oh God, now I'm confident. It's just as you show up honestly, show up as yourself,
Yeah.
show up in alignment, and you continue to hone your skills and your confidence. And you just, or if you don't actually start, there's no way to get to that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you can only refine a thing that exists, right?
Mm,
So if there is that temptation, I'll call it a temptation, or like you're listening to the enemy and he keeps telling you because your voice is not good enough or because it's not
yeah,
strong enough, just
yeah.
shut up. Who even needs to hear it anyways? I guess believing those lies would just cause you not to grow into what God has actually called you to.
Did you ever have those moments, especially in the beginning, you felt like I want to say something, but I feel like I don't really have much to say, especially when you're comparing yourself to what others are saying or writing. How do you then begin to sort of shape and communicate your story when you're battling with that? I don't want to call it imposter syndrome, but you're comparing yourself to others.
So for me, I allowed myself fully feel those feelings. I didn't shy away from it because like they're indicators of something, right? So I'm like, okay, God, this is how I'm feeling. But the best part is that I'm bringing these feelings to you. I don't know what to say at this point. It feels like there is like absolutely nothing. I'm praying, I'm not hearing anything. I'm reading, but it feels like I'm just filling up and there is nothing to pour out, right? And I realized like even in that season, there are people going through that you can actually be honest with and just share like, oh, this is what I'm going through. So in this quiet season, I'm not trying to do anything profound.
Mm,
I'm just trying to explain like God is helping me here. I'm
mm,
trying to learn. I'm trying to draw from him. I'm trying to pray. I'm just trying to fill up in those times because to be honest, it's a scary thing when let me say communication is your main source of pouring out and then
mm,
you feel like cut off. So for me, like
mm,
those quiet times is just deep prayer and asking God, see, I don't have any other like this is what you've given me. And at this moment, it feels like there's nothing, is it in the wine press? Like there's nothing coming out. Right. So what do I do when
mm.
there's nothing to say? I guess that's like my time of reflection and having to pour like into myself through prayer, through the word, and just try to also remind myself like my worth is not tied to if or not I have anything to say. You've called me your own. You've called me loved. You've called me all of the things that you have. So in this season where I'm a bit confused and it doesn't feel like that, I just try to remind myself like, oh, this is who God has called me to be. And I don't have to perform to be loved, even when I have nothing to pour out.
That's so good. And it's actually quite helpful for me. Every time I have these conversations, I always find something that feels really personal for me because I am going through that season. I do have like I have lots of ideas, but I don't have the energy that I usually do. And I've had those moments where I'm like battling, like, am I functioning as you want me to? Am I being a good soldier? Am I being a good daughter? And I've been listening to this song by Bethel Music. I think it's In Over My Head. And it's like just leaning into those moments instead of trying to force your way out of it or
Yeah.
perform your way out of it. It's
Yeah.
like choosing that, okay, if it's not flowing as it usually does, then maybe it's time to rest. Maybe it's time to, sit with the source and let him fill you up. Um, yeah, instead of trying to force it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
And I think another thing for me that's okay, before when I was just starting out, I was like, oh, God has given me this gift. So it's like a natural thing. I don't even have to learn much or refine. And I was like, "Ugh." And then in those times, I looked at him and like, I'm not hearing anything. And it's like, just go and study. I'm like, study what? Study the word, study, like, learn how to write, learn how to tell stories because it will sound funny, but I didn't think that there was any other medium for me besides writing.
Yeah.
Like for me, storytelling for me initially was writing. But
Yeah.
I started to like research and I found like there's video, there is like even podcasts, like there are different ways that you can actually channel these stories that you have. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh, maybe the quiet was not just quiet for no reason. So just a time to learn and study. Yeah. Yeah.
So when it comes to refining your craft or refining your tools, like what did that look like for you? I know you said you did some research and you looked at
Mhm.
other mediums, but like it's okay in terms of writing, for instance, how did you start refining that?
So I guess, like I said earlier, I had to first off let go of that whole pressure of wanting to perform for everyone else or sound perfect or just think that because I have said something, then it's supposed to have like major impact. Lives are supposed to be changed. Like
Mhm.
sometimes you won't even get one like on that thing that you've posted. And it's just having to take that pride and submit it to God to say, see, sometimes I won't even lie to you. I think of one piece and I'm like, oh my God, this is so fire. Like when I put this out,
Yeah.
we are going to hear this and I'm going to be forever changed. And I wasn't like, I had to unlearn even being performative for the right reasons.
Mm.
Because you're saying, no, I'm doing these things because I want lives to change. No, you're doing it because you just want snaps and accolades. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
had to learn to remove that pressure, like from myself. I didn't want to create for applause anymore. I didn't want to mimic anyone, like any other voices. I just took all of those things, right? And I said, see, this is what I'm struggling with. I'm not even going to lie. So Father, help me. I honestly don't have any other, is it cheat code than to take everything and just submit it back to God? Like, see,
Listen, it's the best hack.
yeah, I'm like, I'm not feeling very sanctified right now. So actually help me. If not, we will lose the plot for a lack of a
Yeah.
better phrasing. Like you will do things and get applause and be on a pedestal and think that you are making impact, but
Mm.
instead you're just garnering visibility without people's lives being changed. Is that they
Yeah.
scroll past your page or a video or whatever and they click like, but nobody is actually engaging or listening to the things that you're doing because self-aggrandizement has entered the chat.
Mm.
Yeah. So for me, what I had to refine or let go of is just basically, I don't always want to appear insightful. Sometimes I don't know what to do or to say.
Yeah.
Just as raw and ugly as whatever piece is, put it out. I'm not going to overshare for validation in this age of I'm trying to live my truth or
Yeah.
just be free. I'm not doing that. I will not overshare. Like honesty is of course on the plate, but oversharing is a whole other thing. I'm not going to do that for validation. I'm not going to
Yeah.
create for applause. I'm not going to take someone else's calling and make it the north star of my life because I think that whatever they're doing is impactful.
That's so good.
Yeah, so I guess those are the those are the things that I have like had to let
Yeah,
go of or refine. Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, we talked on how like this space right now is everyone's trying to, lots of people are trying to get approval, applause, you want likes, you want comments, you want other. If you want to communicate with integrity without getting pulled up to all this visibility, how do you stay true to that? How do you make sure that you stay grounded?
Uh, so I think that, like I said earlier, it's been like a learning process, and it wasn't enjoyable. When you behold, you become.
Mm,
And in beholding, it's like you're holding your life up to the mirror that is Jesus, not for him to tell you that you are so flawless and so no, is that you're holding that mirror to help you check the things that do not look like him.
yeah.
It did not feel, it wasn't the most palatable thing, for lack of a better phrasing. So when I did that, and it was not one day, like it was through different seasons, right? I had to I had to say, okay, like Father, how am I showing you to the world with this work that you are giving?
Mm,
How am I not speaking because I created a content calendar that has to work through the 30 days that I have planned? When I don't feel like it, how am I still showing up on the days that you ask me to post that one line for that one person? Is what I'm saying true? Is it necessary? Is it responsible? So in a time where we have this like a microwave type attention because people are scrolling and doing all of the things, it's really, there's a temptation to not take care to sit with what God is talking to me about. You can just chat GPT it and take that one line and put it,
mm,
get the couple of fire emojis that you're looking for.
mm,
But integrity for me is having to sit down with what God is asking me to do, and not sit down because I'm stalling. Is sit down like I'm actually chewing on it, contemplating what is this to me, and what is this to the world, and what is this to you, God, that you want your people to hear at the time. I'm not like depth. It takes a ton of patience.
mm,
And in this climb that we are, where everything is so fast, sometimes it feels like if I don't do this quickly, the wave will pass. So integrity for me is having to sit through that and study and hear what God is telling me, as opposed to doing like the quick thing of just posting and getting it over with. And yeah, like it's just understanding that is it influence without integrity is just like hollow.
yeah.
Yeah. Like, okay, you're known, and then
Yeah.
their lives tied to you.
Mm,
Anyone being changed? Does anyone understand what the gospel is in the way that you write?
mm,
Do people see themselves worthy of God's love in the way that you show up? So yeah, for me, integrity is just a bunch of those things, like self-introspection. What is God
mm.
saying? How am I showing up? What am I saying? Do I even need to say it? Yeah.
I feel like this episode is just for me. Because as you're just talking, I don't even know how to explain it. So many things are sort of dropping off my shoulder, or just, I'm just getting clarity. And thank you. That's so good. I just keep thinking how we've allowed social media to sort of control the narrative and how we show up and who
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah.
For such a flimsy thing, we've completely reconstructed the way we think, the way we process information, the way we interpret the world. It's
So
crazy.
I guess sometimes it's having to desensitize yourself
Mm,
by reminding yourself who you are
yeah,
in this world, but not of it. Because in like you're unconsciously sometimes even like, you're finding yourself looking for Instagrammable or viral moments,
yeah,
like in your daily lived life, and you have to catch yourself and remind yourself, like, what are you doing?
yeah.
So yeah, tough, but yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah. So everywhere I look, there's always brand yourself, you're a brand, you're like this, you're that. And it feels like we're all trying to apply or ascribe to that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess show up as your best self. But
Yeah,
when what is supposedly a best self is just all curated, no honesty, like no,
yeah,
you look at the thing and you can't even find yourself or your voice. I don't think it's ever worth it.
yeah,
Yeah, in times like that, for me, when I find that I've started trying to ride a wave of virality or whatever is happening, I just step back. I'm like, see,
yeah.
no, not going to do that because it feels like it's just a, you just no. I'll never
Yeah.
like God help me. I never want to be found in a place where they didn't send me message.
Mm, clock is my favorite phrase at the moment. And it's so interesting because when you're thinking of storytelling, like what is a story? You're telling your story. And if the story has no part of you and your unique thumbprint on it, you're just spinning tales.
Yeah,
There's a difference between telling a story or telling your story and spinning tales, and I'm such a big avid what they call it, like I big supporter of showing up as yourself because I truly believe that we serve a God that's so intentional, that's designed each and every one of us perfectly. Always say, if you're reading the book of Esther, you see where they reference her beauty.
yeah,
It's not, there's nothing in the Bible that's just casually written or
yeah,
said. It's
yeah,
because that beauty was intentionally placed upon her so that she would catch the king's eye and be able to save the Jews, right? There's a man in the book of Judges, he was one of the judges, and the Bible talks about him being left-handed. And when you look at what he was able to do with that left-handedness, like there was something that happened where he killed a wicked king, and he could have only done that because he was left-handed.
yeah,
Otherwise, the king would have suspected. It's such an intentionality that is put into our design.
yeah,
And when you take that, you strip all of that, you put filters on it. Sometimes when I see some people, they put filters and you can't even see, like, the beautiful lines on their faces and the smile. I can't see anything. These
yeah,
lines, they tell a story. They tell a story. I've been here for 30 something years. I've lived life and I'm proud of the life that I've lived. And I believe everyone should be too. But if you filter it all around, there's actually no story. You've stolen all the all the depths from it just to fit a small little box.
yeah, yeah. And like very yes to this thing you're saying because in the early like if a couple of years ago, I don't know what happened, and I realized like I couldn't take photos with my real camera or like my
Mm,
photo camera if it wasn't with like a Snapchat filter or anything.
mm,
I'd forgotten what my real face looks like. So much
wow.
so that I saw my real face and I was like, ew,
Yeah. Yeah.
no, like this thing that is so beautifully crafted that it is called God's workmanship,
Yeah.
like that God's perfect work.
Yeah.
And I had to, I'm like, see, you will unlearn this thing today.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
it had to take a ton of even like it sounds like a little thing, but even prayer to remind myself like you are actually wonderfully made.
Yeah.
It's not random. God
Yeah.
was not spinning lines for you. Like this
Yeah.
is the truth. And
Yeah.
yeah, like it took a lot of work, but we thank God
Yeah.
we are here.
Yeah. There just has to be an intentionality behind
Yeah.
everything. Is how I view life. I don't even like using filters. Like I remember my daughter, she's always like trying to play me with funny filters on WhatsApp, and those ones are funny.
Yeah.
But if it's like the cosmetic
Yeah.
filters, not for it. I remember a few years ago I did false lashes. Now I'm not saying that you can't do false lashes,
Yeah.
though, but for me, I really liked the way it looked on me to the point where I was looking at older pictures of myself and I was like, And then at that point, I realized actually I can't do this again. I actually cannot put these lashes on again because
Yeah.
I'm trying to prepare my face
Yeah.
false lashes on than my own actual lashes. And I can never allow myself get to the point where my own face is a disappointment to me. I'm
Yes.
sorry. Absolutely not.
No.
I will not let that happen. So I think it's just about being intentional. Everyone's got their areas where they are strong in or where they are struggling. So it's being true to yourself, like you said.
Yeah.
Actually, that self introspection. actually look it good and say, okay, maybe this is a no-go area because I struggle with it, or just be honest with yourself and set those boundaries, set those guardrails, um, so that you don't fall into oblivion.
So
Um,
yeah, like that takes, like I said earlier, it takes, if you need to pray about it, pray about it. Seems like a little thing, like, oh, okay, I can do like a framework or 10 steps to something, something myself. Take it to prayer. Like, Father, I don't like what I'm seeing. Help me
yeah.
see you.
Mm,
Like, help me see what you see. How do you see me? And
mm.
as little as that is, he helps your heart in very funny ways that you don't even expect. And yeah, I don't know how we got here, but whoever needs to hear that, yeah.
Uh, I need to hear it because for me, it's not even everything you're saying. It just, I don't know how to explain it. I'm not struggling with my physical. I think it's
Yeah.
internally. So
Yeah.
it's like I had to just say that. Like, how do you see me?
Yeah.
I can be such a soldier, and it's a strength. But if I lean on it too much, it becomes a even when he's saying rest, I'm like, no, I can't. I want to make sure that I'm doing everything he asks me to do.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
what he's asking me to do is to rest. But I'm going so to the point where my identity is leaning on producing and
Yeah.
making sure that because I was reflecting on myself the other day. I don't know why we're going in this direction, but I've designed my life in a way that, and it can be a good thing where everything I want to reflect on earth as it is in heaven. So I intentionally reflect how I know God wants people to be seen or how He wants them to behave.
Yeah.
So in my leadership, in my parenting, what I say at the office, how I interact with clients, it's constantly just thinking, okay, how will God want them to see
Yeah.
what leadership looks like or parenting looks like or whatever? But sometimes that means that I'm functioning at a really high level where I forget actually He also wants them to see me because he's brought them to me
Yeah.
and there's something in me that's flawed and human they need to also see.
Yeah.
So it's like just finding that balance. And it's tricky, but I always say like that's why we have the Holy Spirit
Yeah.
because you don't have to figure it out on your own and you don't need to. I always like to have like a template. It's like, okay, this is how we do it. Every time I do this is how we do it. But like there's moments where you actually have to say, what are you saying about this? How are you feeling about this moment? Not just let's just keep going, 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 going. So it's like that really like having those introspective moments. I think like you said, really, really
Yeah.
key,
Yeah.
really, really key. So when you let's talk about someone that's wanting to use their voice more, maybe writing, recording videos, perhaps they're feeling this strong leading in their heart that they have something to say, they want to say it, but they're feeling unsure of their voice.
Mm-hmm.
I know we touched on it a little bit, but like what would be a good first step for them?
It sounds cliche, but first off, pray. I always say like
Yeah.
pray, because in prayer you're not just, it's not a performative thing. You're actually asking God to help you understand what it is that He's calling you to do.
Mm,
Right. So for work, when you have to produce like a piece of writing or maybe a newsletter, whatever it is you're doing, there's something called an audience brief, right?
mm,
Who is this thing for? Who are you saying it to? What is the message that you want them to, what's the like the problem question that you're answering, and what do you want them to take away from it? And it's a thing where I started taking that to even like in prayer. I say, God, like, who do you want to hear this? What is the issue that they're struggling with that you are asking me to speak to?
mm,
What do they take away from this? Right. So I use that and I ask God that I don't want to just do anything outside of your will. So for any person that is starting out in this kind of journey, is try and figure out the why. I'm not saying and start struggling with God and say, oh, you must tell me why you want. No, like just figure out what it is that He really wants you to say. How do you show up as your best self for whatever format He's asking you to produce in? You don't have to do that thing where you are confusing the vulnerability of what He's asking you to do with exposure, or
mm.
You have to be struggling to brand every moment.
Mm.
You don't need to do that. You don't need to speak before you now go back and you're processing like, hey, this thing that I said, was I supposed to? When you take all of this to prayer, the Holy Spirit is actually helping you to understand what to say per time, per season.
Mm.
Is your help. It's not said because, again, like it was a nice line to put in the Bible. No, you actually have help readily available to you. Even when it feels like you don't have wisdom enough, in this same Bible, it tells you to ask for wisdom and he will give it to
Mm.
you. He doesn't hold back, right? So the God that has called you, take everything that you're feeling and take it back to him. Even the way you're supposed to package whatever it is he's sending you to do, he will teach you the ways to go about it. So
Mm.
yeah, for any person starting out, just pray, figure out what you need to do, and actually do the work. Also, your skill or your talent is not confined to what you know it as in the moment that you discover it. There's room for growth. So actually figure out the best ways to do the things that God has called you to. What does excellence look like as a podcaster, as a videographer, as a writer, as a what? Any other thing he has called you to. And just bring it to him. Study the best people that have shown up in the ways that define excellence in your industry or in your niche, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know that you are not just creating for the audience that I've described for you to say who you're. There is an audience of one, and it's God. So that first, and every other thing after.
That's so good. It's something that I've been doing with my clients because I started working with people that want to build a social enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing I ask is like, okay, you say you want to solve this problem. Have you gone to God and asked him why he even cares
Yeah.
about this thing? What is it about this problem that appeals to his heart? And it's always sort of like an eye-opening moment when you actually sit with God and say, why do you care about this? What is it about this matter that's important to you? And that just brings some clarity to it because I think it also helps you in the long run, where if there's opportunities or things coming your way, you can sort of see whether actually does it align with what God wants concerning this matter. And it just helps you sort of, pivot in the right directions. And it's just amazing. We've got honestly the greatest strategist ever, and it's changed the game for me. If you ask me, I always tell people, me, I don't, if you come to me, I don't know anything. It's the Holy Spirit that gives me everything I need
Yeah.
and absolutely more. Because honestly, He's the only one, God is the only one that has anything of value to add. He sees things from an eternal perspective. So He's always saying the end from the beginning, which means I'm not going to be wasting time doing things that have no grand standing.
Yeah.
I'm able to sort of align it with what He's wanting and it stops me from wasting time and just sort of meandering up and down, doing things that look good, like we say, but are not actually impacting people's lives. And you know, just get sit down and write who, what, why, when, where, like you said. You figure it out, But if you don't actually do that work of sitting down and actually putting pen to paper as your brain, because you don't just. I used to do business meetings because I haven't done it in a while. I need to. But is that like show up like you would show up at a meeting with your boss? Show up seriously. Don't just like do it casually. Like you're
Yeah.
coming with serious work now. You know he's giving you something to do. There's something in your heart that you want to do.
Yeah.
You can't do it outside of the one that has the original design. If you try to, you make a mess of it. So sit with him.
Yeah.
Get serious. Write it down because it's serious and you want to remember. And write the vision clearly. You can run with it.
Yeah.
I'm always big about scaling. So if you write it clear enough, you can get other people to also run with you as you keep going. If you don't write it down, no one knows what you're about. You can try to explain it. You could explain that.
So I think that like this thing you're saying, one of the things I'm grateful for like work for is teaching me how to document, teaching me processes, right? Before I didn't quite I'll be like, oh, I need to do this and this and this and this. And I'm like, okay, so on the day of we go run now. What is what practical steps are you putting in place to actually help you achieve this? There is
Yeah.
this and this. And then on the morning of you start the task and then you realize that I actually needed to request permission for a document, talk to a couple of people and get insights for certain things. Like there is a whole strategy that you would have had to follow to get here, and you didn't research or you didn't care
Yeah.
enough to just figure out what excellence looks like.
Mm.
And excellence is not a thing that is reserved for the corporate world.
Mm.
In how you show up as a teacher, a preacher, a wife, a husband, the prayer lead, whatever it is that God has called you to, what does excellence look like? Like we are called to hire. We are ambassadors of a kingdom. You do not see like this is God as our father and king. You
Mm.
as son, daughter, representative of this. And then they ask you the affairs about your father's kingdom. You're like, I don't know. You can go and, like figure out what it is to show up as a son for your father. It's knowing about his business, knowing what excellence looks like, even from him, right?
Yeah.
He's an excellent God, a God of processes. If you check the track record, you will see it in Job, in Esther, in Mark. You will see it hasn't changed. What does doing that as a storyteller look like? What are the processes I need to put in place? How do I show up in church? How do I show up at home? How do I show up at the office? Is it reflective of this excellent God that I'm calling my father and my king? Or will people
Mm.
see how you operate in that space and they'll say, ah, and she says she's this man's child, though. God forbid.
Oh my soul. Like you hear what people say, oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah, we need to be excellent at all times because we're not doing this for ourselves. We are called to be ambassadors of a king.
Yeah.
Show up as a child, like, show up.
Yeah. What does that look like practically? What habits can help someone that wants to show up excellently?
Yeah. I sound like a broken record, but pray. Yes. So before any major thing, before any minor thing, just take it to your father, pray about it. What am I learning from this? What do you want me to teach from this? Like what are we doing?
Mm.
Right? Just here you have the Holy Spirit to help you and give you
Mm.
like direction. And then you have wisdom that is divine, right? So what are we doing with this thing that you've put in my hands? After you've done that, you can journal, like just write down, like you said earlier, write down the vision so that even you will come back to it, even if you're not clear headed at the time, and just say, oh, okay,
Yeah.
this is what God was saying at this time. You've gone, you've reflected, you've stepped away from constantly being online and
Mm.
like overloading your brain with information of what you think should be the message of the season. Like step away, come away from all of that and just focus on what God wants you to do at the time. Also, I find that accountability is great. If you have
Mm.
community, yeah, of trusted friends, of people that pray with you, of people that can tell you, "Oh, this direction that you're going is not giving sanctified."
Yeah.
Can we like pray together? Is there something that you're struggling with? Is it a season of dryness or you're not hearing anything? Find people that you trust and can pray with or will help you pray when you cannot that
Mm.
yourself.
So good.
People that will tell you the truth when they see you like missing the mark. Not someone that will tear you down for making certain mistakes.
Yeah.
Someone that you trust that is gospel centric, that understands what love is. When it says for us to correct one another or pray for one another or hold each other accountable, this is
Yeah.
the reflection of what the Bible says, of what Jesus says to his disciples. Find a community like that. Check your motives
Mm.
before you create whatever it is you're creating. Like I said before,
Yeah.
we're not doing things because we want accolades. We're doing things because we want lives changed. You said,
Mm.
as in heaven, here on earth, what does that look like in the work that I do?
Yeah.
If it's not reflective or you're saying that it's just for self-aggrandizement, I would add, I'm not saying don't like put out the content that you've worked on. Take
Yeah.
to pause and just ask God to purify your passions, purify
Mm.
your intentions, and just help you see Him in whatever it is that you've created. There are some
Yeah.
times that you have put in a ton of work for a certain thing, and God will be like, yeah, that's not going up. It's hard, though. Obedience is hard. And you're like, ah, I've spent money, I've spent time, research, hours and Yeah, put it aside. Do you like pray for the grace for obedience?
Mm,
It's not easy. I guess the last thing for me is ask yourself, is it attention seeking or you are doing something actually really helpful? Is it true? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Is it needed at the time? All of those things. See,
mm,
run it by like use the gospel as a measure. Does it work?
yeah,
If it doesn't, pull back and ask God for grace. Wisdom is available to you. Just ask. Holy Spirit is there to help you. Just ask.
that's so good. So someone is listening to this and thinking, well, that's all fine and dandy, but I need money in my pocket. What do you want me to do now? What do you say to that?
So we will always be in that place. Like even when you feel like you've gotten money, you always need more, right?
Mm,
One thing that I try to be careful to do, like for myself, is what value do I bring to the table, right?
mm,
That would be something I can produce and would make me some sort of income from. I'm not coming to it thinking like, what's that word I'm looking for? I'm entitled because I'm called the child of God, then I will not put in the work I'm supposed to put in and something will come from it. Put in the work, do the excellent work that you're doing. If it's something that you can earn from, put it out. Do the marketing like research. But this format that I've chosen, how do people in this industry actually make money? Because you've created something great and you've kept it to yourself or not distributed it, then you think that I shared it with that one friend and nobody's paying for it. No,
mm,
like do the work of researching how to market what it is that you have created. Get into community, network with people, find out how do like just get a community of people that have succeeded in this thing and like talk to people. Of course, you might be afraid starting out that if I go and share, they'll steal my idea and all of that. Okay, understandably so. But because you're being honest doesn't mean that you have to now pour out all of your like strategy and just talk to people, find spaces where they even give grants for certain things.
mm,
Just do the deep work of finding out how to make money from whatever it is that
mm,
you are doing. Because there is a modesty thing that sometimes creeps into the picture where it's like, oh, okay, because I created this thing unto glory. If I earn from it, is a bad thing. No, money is not bad. Money is not a sin. Money is a tool for like to get other things done. So just figure out what that looks like. And in the little ways or in like that it starts trickling in, find out ways to diversify. Just get all the financial knowledge that is needed for whatever phase that you're in and start from there.
mm,
It happens for some people that that one book or that ebook or whatever it is that they've created can make them like millions and millions. But some for some other people you have to start small and build up. So just do the work of figuring out what a financial plan is for whatever it is you're creating. Get a community of people that have succeeded at it. Talk to people, build community, and get the help that you need. Put yourself out there. I guess
mm.
that's um,
Wow. You know, as you were talking, I'm like, whoa, that sounds like a lot. For someone like me that I will create and I want to see the end result, like there's so many steps.
yeah.
There's so much that has to be put into. Wow. How do you then like sort of like for those of us that want to see sharp, 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 how do you pace yourself so that
Hmm.
you're not just like waiting to like get to the end quickly, but you're able to also appreciate and enjoy this journey and this process of learning and doing all this research and all that good stuff. If you're someone like me that loves the creative side of things, but like when it comes to all these extra steps, you're like, can we just get someone else to do it? How do you sort of
Mm, I think that's like I said, like just you have to self-reflect though.
yeah.
Just not just as like a thing you're doing for your mind, but it's asking God to help you be patient for whatever result is at the end.
Mm,
It is checking your like for me, checking my pride to see that let it not be that I'm just doing this thing to get out of it, and I want the results to be the way I've predicted it in my mind. That the success of a thing isn't what I get from it, but is that God is glorified. That thing can be very annoying. Yes. What do you mean? Like, the success of it is that God is glorified. Like, I spent money, I want to see my money. But
Oh
again,
my
like,
God.
ask yourself, if nothing comes from it, will you still do it when He asks you to? Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not an easy thing to do. But God is so kind and so faithful that He rewards us, not because He's not rewarding you because oh you've put in the work and this no, is that you've done something over and over and over, excuse me, and created like rigor for a thing. That He puts your thoughts in the mind of someone that, okay, I need someone to handle this project for me that has to do with women in a certain community. And someone is like, oh, I know the Hawa. It might not be from that thing that you created and you wanted money from. Is that someone saw that thing and we've recommended Hawa for it.
Mm,
So
mm,
the ways that we imagine that money will come from is great too. But let's learn to put it aside and just ask like, God, if it
mm,
doesn't, are you still good? If it
mm.
doesn't, are you still Lord over what you've called me to? If it
Yeah.
doesn't, will I still show up when you call me? If I'm not there
Yeah.
yet, help my help my faith come up. So yeah, like money conversations and faith are never in general are not easy, but coupled with like our faith and having to constantly check ourselves not to always look for God's hand but his heart in matters
Mm,
can be tough.
yeah.
But for me, that's how I usually um handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And and I'm not I'm unafraid to ask people like, oh, okay, so this thing you're doing, like, how are you making money? I'll ask you flat out, like, how are you making money? Because you're doing the same thing that I'm doing. There is like you're getting results.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I'm not doing something right. And if I've checked whatever strategy, you've given me the books, I've read all of the things, done all of the research, all of the work, and it's still not showing forth. Okay, like, Father, I've done the work. I've trusted, I've put my faith, I've done the research, I've done all of the things. So now it's in your hands.
Yeah.
So you will constantly show up and let God take the wheel. Also, I think another thing that helps is don't lock your money, is it ideologies around a certain thing, thinking that because this is the one thing that I've been called to, it is the only way that money will come. Open, like, allow yourself see other possibilities. Sometimes the thing that is funding this dream is not even the dream like itself. Something
Mm,
else you're distributing online, like selling stuff. You have a tiny store, you have a fish farm, like explore other things, right?
mm.
While what is supposedly a big dream is still being built.
Yeah. That's so good. So this one is sort of a personal question for me because I was doing some reflecting the other day, and I realized one of the things I would like to learn this year is how to tell good stories that create momentum in people listening. Because I want to tell stories that like interesting, but I also want that when people listen to it, it spurs them on to to take action, even without it being slamming in their face like this is
Yeah.
what I want you to do. What do you think is a good way for me to sort of build that type of muscle?
I think one of the best things I heard in a conversation with a friend is that curiosity is care. So you're trying to tell stories of certain people, right? You need to be curious about them.
Mm,
First off, why do you even want to tell those stories? What are the things that the people you want to focus on want to actually talk about?
mm,
Taking the time to actually speak to them and understand the things that they're struggling with so that you're not going into the story with a preconceived notion of what you think they want platform. I think
mm,
one of my favorite examples of this is this story where someone went to like an organization went to a community trying to figure out what they would like to be done. And they spoke to one half of the community, which was made up of the other gender. And they kept saying, oh, they wanted a football stadium or something. And they're like, that's a curious thing. And then They spoke to the other half and they were like, oh, we need like boreholes. There's no water. There's been no water in this community for the longest time. And then you can see that in speaking to them, football stadium was against drinking water. It is the care of having to do like the research and understanding who you're speaking for. What are the stories that you're telling? Like, again, back to this integrity conversation. When you're not doing this because it's content, you're doing this because you actually care for what God is asking you to speak about regarding a certain group of people, right? So your take care to understand the pain point of this audience that like you've chosen. Take care to understand what a possible solution is and what answers can come from those things, like from other people that are seeking to do the same thing that you're
Yeah.
doing. Yeah, for
Yeah.
stories, there's this whole like a narrative arc where you're trying to understand from the beginning, like who is the hero of this story? What is the conflict? What is the resolution or like that you come to at the end?
Yeah.
Even though like it's a great thing to want to talk about a certain issue or people, how are you doing the deep work of understanding the real thing that needs to be said? How do other people tell those kinds of stories? What is the format that you want to use? If you use video for certain things, does it actually preserve the integrity of the people that you are showcasing?
Mm.
So you're not making them come across as victims by what
Mm.
you're doing.
Yeah.
So take care to understand even the formats that are necessary for whatever it is God is calling you to showcase. So again, like it's majorly care and doing the deep work to just understand what is best, what format is best. There are a ton of resources like free online. Like I guess I am also always learning every day. Like I talked about the fact that writing was my major thing. Then I started to understand that there are other formats that speak better to certain kinds of stories that need to be told. So learn all of those formats, learn the things that are important for whatever story it is that you need to tell at the time. And the building or the learning is in the doing. So just
Yeah.
and don't put pressure on yourself to produce, like if it's not world standard, then it shouldn't be seen or heard or read. No. Give yourself the grace to be bad at something the first time.
Mhm. Iwuese, thank you so much. You've honestly just been such a wonderful guest. Thanks. I feel like even if no one else watches this, you've really done something special for me, and I'm really grateful. But I know that there's going to be loads of people that watch this, even if not now, sometime in future, and I know that they'll be absolutely impacted for good. Thank you so much for being honest, for being authentic, for being yourself, and just sharing from your heart. I think it's just really important to be intentional about the stories that we're sharing and how we share them. And as we close, this session has just emphasized for me that when we're choosing well with our voice, it's not just about saying more, it's about saying what is true with clarity and as Iwese said, with care. Because the stories that we're telling, they shape how we see ourselves, how others see us,
Yeah.
and what we actually believe is possible.
Yeah.
And the real work is not just being heard, but being honest, grounded, and responsible with the words that we carry because they do have so much weight. I was telling my daughter the other day, I said, lying, because sometimes she'll joke and say a lie, and I'm like, that's a lie. She's like, no, I'm just joking. And I said, look, words are really important. God used words to start the world from the beginning. Like that's how he created the world. Let there be. And there was. And I truly believe that we have that same power with our words. Even if we're telling it, even if we're writing, or we're doing videos, or we're painting, or coloring, those are all things that we're creating, and it's impacting how the world is viewed, and it's actually impacting what the world will look like and what it will be. So there has to be a lot of intentionality going into this system. We must handle that care with responsibility because it is a stewardship, like you said to us earlier. I hope that this session has really brought to front for each and every one of us that's watching how important the stories we're telling are, how our voices carry weight. So looking forward to hearing all you guys have to say in the comment section. If you have any questions, would love to hear from you. But for now, we'll catch you later. Thank you for showing up and continue to tell stories that actually impact people for good.